Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Titans Season 3, and this is going to be my review and breakdown for Episode 8 for this season, otherwise entitled Home. But of course, spoiler alert, if you've not watched the episode, go away, because we're going to be talking about everything that happens in this episode, and it ends with a bit of a bang. Literally? Well, wait and see. But of course, if you have watched the episode and you are continuing on, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your general thoughts and opinions on this episode, what you love, what you hate, favorite moments, everything like that, any theories going forward, and just your reaction to the ending. Always curious to read them. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you enjoyed the episode, want to drop a like on it to show your support and rating. But yeah, last episode, we had sort of, it was like, well, I guess every episode leads into the next one. I guess this one specifically did as well. But we had Starfire and Blackfire teaming up, with Blackfire like maybe not being the best influence on Starfire. But we did get the Titans teaming up to thwart Scarecrow's plans for his anti-fear toxin, but Scarecrow does get away with Jason Todd. However, in regards to the whole Jason Todd thing, Gar or Beast Boy tracks down Molly, who we of course met in the Red Hood Origin episode, if you want to call it, and is going to potentially or hopefully use her to get some connections going. But yeah, this episode was one where I thought it really wasn't going anywhere at the beginning, and by that I don't mean it was pointless. Like, I wasn't sitting there going, oh my god, this is pointless, why am I watching this? But I thought it was setting up and planting seeds for like the last 4 or 5 episodes of the season, and nothing massive would happen. And while doing that, it did also have a good through line throughout the episode that involved everyone on the Titans team, which was good to see. I think this was the episode that probably had very, very, very even screen time for all the Titans, which is really good to see. It's definitely one of the top complaints you see from people, and one of the concerns I've had from time to time that they, Titans are more of like a very small side character, and it's mainly like, Dick or Nightwing, and then Jason's like a Bat Family thing. But yeah, it was good to see them have all that even screen time. Well, at least I felt it was that way. But yeah, it's time to talk about this episode, so let's go. But yeah, we pick up in this episode from the end of last episode with Gar speaking to Molly and just trying to get leads and information as to where Jason could be now, and also what her last interactions were with him, whether she noticed anything different or weird and everything like that. Now, Molly does question whether Gar is really the right person to be dealing with Jason, and I think we'd all be probably thinking that as well, but it's not just Gar, obviously, it's the entire Titans team, and this is when we do get to see the Titan signal in the sky. So RIP Bat signal, it's now the T for Titans. It looks a bit weird, I mean, it looks a bit odd, but yeah, anyway, Titan signal in the sky, and of course, this is courtesy of Barbara Gordon. But speaking of Barbara, Dick is preparing to go to a gala function thing with Barbara Gordon. And did anyone notice the Vegemite that was next to Nightwing or Dick as he was preparing his sandwich? Obviously, Brenton Thwaites, who plays Dick, is Australian, so that's probably just a bit of an Easter egg. Did he just have that lying around set? Maybe it's in his trailer, I guess, and he brought it, hey, can we put this in the scene or something? But Nightwing has Vegemite on his sandwich. It was like mayo and stuff like that there as well. So I guess it's just like using salt. I mean, I've had some weird combinations with Vegemite, or sort of, mainly like cheese and avocado, but I guess it works with everything. But this episode was very risque. Did anyone... I felt like they were definitely going for a higher rating in this episode for multiple scenes. But we have Connor and Blackfire, like, post getting it on. Now, Connor gets to see, like, Krypton along with Tamarin, with Blackfire sort of, like, unsure as to whether she is able to get back and everything like that. Obviously, I think I'm wondering, I'm sure most of you are wondering, when the trigger point is with, Blackfire and when it's coming, because she's meant to be a villain, So will it be like what happens at the end of this episode that triggers it? Or will it be connected to what's going on with Corey? Is she already bad and this is a cover? I mean, I'm intrigued. We're over halfway through the season, so I'm intrigued to see where it goes and what the trigger point is, but I guess we'll have to wait. Now, one of the main players in this episode who gets the most screen time he's had in an episode is Tim Drake. He shows up to Wayne Manor knowing that Dick is Nightwing and also that Bruce is Batman, so he's smart like in the comics and he figures it out. And he is a big fan of the Flying Graysons, and he's done a lot of like recon work with, I guess, specifically Bruce's Batman and Dick is mainly Robin and then Nightwing, and he's followed them around and seen them and stuff like that. But Tim is in a Wayne Manor to show the merchandise to Dick and everything like that. He wants to be the next Robin to help Gotham. He even states that if Batman was still around, then his dad wouldn't have been shot. Did they say that his dad died? Or just that he'd been shot? I mean, it didn't sound like he died. I'm not too sure. But of course, Dick isn't just going to let another Robin in. It'd be quite hypocritical. Like, wouldn't it just say, hey, yeah, come in, be a Robin, but just criticize Batman for doing that all the time as well? Now, Dick does offer a helping hand if Tim does need it or his family needs it as well. But Tim also wants to know who the second Robin was because that one died. And he thought it was Jason Todd that was the second Robin, but he actually saw Jason Todd only a couple of nights ago. So he was correct that Jason Todd was the second Robin, but he didn't know that, Jason, I guess, had died and come back to life. So yeah, Dick now has a lead. But speaking of Jason, we do see him suffering like withdrawals, which was the same last episode, like towards the end of the last episode, or that back half of last episode. You can see him like sort of like going into that weird state. He's just suffering withdrawals, needs that toxin. Just due to lack of it, he's suffering these withdrawals. And he's almost like begging for it from Scarecrow, but Scarecrow has larger problems. Well, larger plans, might I say. And that's being dropping some highly concentrated toxin into the water supply of Gotham. If that's the most cliche Batman villain thing to do, poisoning the water supply, I don't know what is. And I think that's intentional. And I have to say it's intentional to be sort of campy and corny. But you know what? It works. I mean, everyone has a sip of water, or at least they brush their teeth, or they have a shower or something. So it's going to affect them. So it works. It can be corny and campy, but it works. But Jason does lash out at Scarecrow, but is seen by Dick later on. But Dick gets hit by a car. So, not RIP Dick, but a bit of an L for Dick. And he thinks that Jason was standing over him afterwards, though Barbara doubts that. But Dick's going through this like weird vision state. Like he starts to see the bat signals. He starts to see his younger self. He's just going through this weird thing. So there's just some weird stuff going on with Dick in general. And it pretty much plays out throughout the entire episode, I'd say, in regards to that weird state that he's in. But of course, we did see Connor and Blackfire post getting it on early in the episode. Well, we decided to cut back to them in the middle of getting it on. But Corey trundles in and is like in her blacked out state that we've seen previously and tries to kill Blackfire, which causes her to use that tank again from a few episodes ago, which obviously didn't go down well the first time. I mean, Gar ended up in the trunk of the car. I guess it did lead them to taking out Blackfire, but yeah. But this time it puts Corey into a dream of a theater with a mother screaming out for her baby, and it seems the baby is Tamaranian because it's got like the glowing green eyes. And at first I was like, is it meant to be Corey? But then I was thinking, well, all these visions that she was having before were about Blackfire. Like she was seeing herself strapped up. It was Blackfire. So she's seeing Blackfire as a baby, I'm assuming. So you'd have to wonder whether Blackfire is completely associated with all these visions and blackouts. Whether it's intentional from Blackfire or not, I'm interested to find out. And because going into this season, I didn't realize Scarecrow was going to be such a big villain throughout the season. This is episode 8. I thought it was Blackfire. So I guess we're extremely close to dealing with Scarecrow potentially, and we could be done with him by episode 10 or 11. But I think this season only has 13 episodes, I think. So if Blackfire is the villain, I guess there has to be a Twisty McTwist with her fairly soon. I'm sort of confused about that because I didn't look too much into Titans before the season started. So I just assumed Blackfire is meant to be the villain because of the end of last season, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not too sure. But yeah, speaking of Scarecrow and villains, he is woken up by someone doing an inspection in the area he was planning on dumping the toxin in the pump plant, I think they call it. And he's actually forced to kill this dude after he gets too nosy. And you could sort of tell he didn't want to have to kill him. He was sort of trying to move him on without having to go up and break his neck. But we then see Scarecrow go to his mother's office for a catch-up, shall we say, and probably the best acted scene in the episode. I know sometimes like over the top stuff, like crying stuff can be seen as, but I think this just had it felt like this was the best performance in the episode, like putting as much energy as you possibly could. I just felt that way. But yeah, Scarecrow has like a breakdown of sorts, but his mother sets off a panic button earlier as he walked in to bring in the cops, which doesn't really help her as Scarecrow snaps her neck and gets away anyway. So yeah, R.I.P. Mrs. Crane. Now, one of the this was definitely the scene that made it like risque. Like obviously we had the Connor and Blackfire stuff, but this was the one that went, oh, okay, they decided to bump up the rating. But we have Jason going to that peep show, I guess you would call it. Like if I had to call it anything, I'd say peep show. And is there another word you would use? I'm going to say peep show. And is that like the first bit of actual nudity that Titans has shown? Like there was those scenes with Connor and Blackfire, and I was like, hey, they're getting really close to showing some stuff. But they didn't. Like they did the typical TV, like, the blankets and everything like that you'd see on network TV. But then this scene with Jason's like, oh no, here's some boobies. Like they just went and did it. And Obviously, I'm not going to show it in the review, at least in the video. Obviously, I think if you've seen the episode, you've seen the scene. But yeah, he wanted to use them as like Hank and Dawn in order to like apologize and I guess in some way get some forgiveness. It was a bit of an odd scene, but Jason's a bit of an odd character. He's sort of a messed up character. So though it was unsettling and a bit weird, and I was wondering whether it was going to get dark, like it was going to kill them or something like that, or join them in some weird way. I'm sort of happy that those blinds came down and it ended because it was a bit weird. But speaking of Jason, Molly actually does contact Jason afterwards. I think like it's like straight after that scene, and organizes like off screen a meetup with Dick, not Nightwing, but Dick specifically. Now Dick on the way there, I feel weird saying Dick after talking about that scene with all the nudity. Anyway, Dick runs into Tim Drake on his way to meet Jason, and Tim vows to show Dick how it's done, as he feels he is up to helping out and has done the training and done the research and he knows what he's doing. And, well, it doesn't work out that way. So Dick's like, hey, look, next time. We'll figure it out next time. Now, Tim does stick around, which is probably not the best for him considering what happens at the end of the episode, but he hangs around outside. Now, Dick is able to talk to Jason and makes a deal to bring Jason back into the Titans, and that all of his wrongdoings of like what he was doing was due to Scarecrow. It's due to Scarecrow's influence in the toxin. It wasn't truly Jason. It wasn't him. Hey, it wasn't him. Yeah, it was sort of him, a bit messed up, but anyway. But the deal is that Jason hands over Scarecrow. Now, the Titans are like, well, hold on. He killed Hank. Like, come on, are we going to talk about this? I know Guard does bring up the situation where, you know, like, Cadmus had the control over him, but, like, that was, like, full-on proper control. Like, this was not, like, that type of control that was going on with Jason. It wasn't really, I don't know if they're really comparable. Like, Jason was doing all that and using up suppressed emotions and feelings and memories that he had experienced to do what he was doing there. It was Jason. But anyway, speaking of Tim, as I said, he was hanging around. He stayed behind even after, you know, Dick brushed him. But Tim does follow Jason to this meeting where he runs into Scarecrow and is actually shot in the back, with Jason being the first person to see Tim and Tim telling him that he was the, you know, he's the reason that he was there because he was following Jason. So that's even more baggage for Jason. But luckily the Titans arrive to help out Tim, but they have to stick to the main plan, which is bringing in Scarecrow and Jason. Now, they find Scarecrow and Corey uses her powers to try and stop Scarecrow, but ends up blowing the floor, which allows Scarecrow and Jason to poison the water supply of Gotham. Obviously, before the floor was steel, and he was using like a concrete drill and couldn't get through it, so that was making no progress. So all of this was a setup. All of this was a setup to blow up the plant floor so they could poison the water supply. At least that's all let's believe at the end of the episode. So, wow. I said it earlier in the episode about some other stuff, but Twisty McTwist, they twisted it. The players got played. The Titans think they were doing some undercover, you know, backhanded double agent work, and it got turned on them. They should have seen it coming. And the funny thing is that I think next week is a Raven and Donna episode, Donna Troy episode. At least it's on Themyscira. I think that's the entire next week's episode, I'm pretty sure. So we might have to wait 2 weeks or something to see the fallout from the ending from this episode, which is a bit frustrating, even though it's going to be good to finally see Raven because she's just been gone the entire season. So she's finally back. So, God, the actress got a bit of time off there. God, she must have been loving it. But anyway, this episode was, you know, it wasn't the most mind-blowing episode the entire way through, but I did like the fact that the Titans felt like they actually were a team. And obviously that was separate for parts of the episode, but I feel they had such even screen time throughout the episode that I was able to enjoy each character, which was good to see. Yeah, it was a solid episode, and I think the ending sets up some interesting stuff. I'm assuming in about 2 weeks' time, once we get past this Raven episode, which I'm assuming will be like the Red Hood episode and be disconnected, it might even be like, you know, we catch up through times. It has some flashbacks, and then it catches up to the present day. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the fallout is and how Gotham reacts. I mean, Gotham is already a terrible place to be, so imagine all these people get the anti-fear tox, and we saw what happened when Jason only gave it to a handful of people. It went insane. So imagine when the entire town is exposed to it. It's not going to be good. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode and the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your general thoughts on this episode and what are you expecting going forward. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.